Hello watch enthusiasts! Now today I have a very different video to my usual style, because it involves the servicing of a watch. Now to give some context, those who subscribe to Bark and Jack will know that recently he had his Rolex Explorer serviced by David Carpenter Watches, and he was able to produce a video about that and talk about the Rolex movement, its weaknesses as well as its benefits, and the other aspects of the service, whilst also addressing some additional information about watchmakers. And having met David Carpenter Watches, or the team from David Carpenter Watches in the past, I thought it would be interesting to produce a similar sort of video. Now of course, as he declared, I would like to say exactly the same thing, that this is a sponsored video, in that due to the production of the video, they have offered to service the watch for free, which is very kind of them, but it's a transaction in that sense, because of course they are getting exposure through this video. But I think it's an interesting process because I know them and I trust them, having spoken to other people who've used their services, and so there's no problem there. But I think it should be a very interesting opportunity to be able to see into the world of the watchmaker and understand what it takes to be a watchmaker, and also to understand really the learning curve, because I find this aspect particularly interesting, because with such a technical job and one which is relatively niche, it does seem an interesting area to look into, which I think for many people remains very much out of sight for the average watch owner. I would also like to speak about my Speedmaster Mark III, which is the watch being serviced, because this is a watch which I've been meaning to have adjusted and taken care of for a while. As you will have seen if you've seen my review, you'll know that I have a spare case for this watch, a new old stock case from the early 70s, which, unlike the one on my watch, has never been refinished, so it's exactly as it was in the period. And so whilst of course I would keep the other case, the one which is currently on the watch, if I ever sold it and sell all of these items with the watch, just to make sure that there was no grey area in terms of what people knew about the watch, I would like to have this case changed and fitted with the new old stock one to really bring this watch back to its original condition, whilst also taking a look at the movement. And so I'd like to take this opportunity, especially having just celebrated the 50th anniversary of the moon landings, to look at this Speedmaster with a peculiar movement, one which didn't last very long and one which was odd in many ways, but provided a few firsts for Omega, and really take a look at it from the eye of the watchmaker as opposed to simply the eye of someone who's interested in history. And so of course we'll go into that in a moment, but of course before I begin the video I would like to encourage you to like, share and subscribe if you enjoy this video or find the content interesting. And so with that, we'll go straight to the video I produced a few days ago at David Carpenter Watches.
I would say first you have to have a great sense of logic. You have to understand how things works. You have to be logic. You have to be good enough. You have to be patient, and you have to be soft, delicate. You have to have a great sense of touch. It's watchmaking. It's not only a job. I would say, for me, I am lucky because I earn my living by doing my patients every day. So watchmaking. For me, it's more than escapes. It's an art of respecting the design of each brand I work on. It's history as well. Watchmaking, for me, it's a lifestyle. When you start to be a watchmaker, you know a watchmaker when you're out of school. You start to be a watchmaker after 3 to 5 years after school. It's when you start to understand, when you start to create a sense in your brain of things works. It's where brands help you out when they send you for trainings to teach you or their designs, because each brands are really different to each other. So, and more you just go to high end of watches, really expensive watches, more than 30 to 50 grand of watches, then you just understand how watchmaking can be really crazy. You can't call yourself like a master watchmaker or anything. If you're a master watchmaker, then you are like a Jordan, like the guy just been, or Philippe Dufour, or my preference is Monsieur Journe, which is for me, I think is the best watchmaker in the world. I think it's just on the side, FP Journe, the brand. I don't know if people know about it. This person designed complication to improve the watch, not to add complication just for the sake of complication. He's developing every single design of his watches to improve the timekeeping, to improve the watch. It's where I think it's unique, same as Philippe Dufour, same as with Monsieur Dufour, which is a really good watchmaker. Technician, it's like random person who started to dedicate himself to just learning the skill of watchmaking. It takes a long time. It's not given. Or maybe you are a genius and you can become a surgeon after 2 years. I don't think so. It takes a lot of time. So the difference between technician and watchmaker, first you have to go to school to understand the concept of the skill, the concept of watchmaking. And being a watchmaker, as I say, it's not because you went to school, you had your certificate by WASTEP or BHI or any kind of group, any kind of school, or the CFA in Geneva. It's after that. And being a watchmaker, it's being like a surgeon. Being a technician is like being a doctor, but just a GP doctor. You see? You go doctor, surgeon. Then you go complication watchmakers, which are neurosurgery. It's exactly like this. It's a lot of, it's a big gap between them. So most of the time, technician works on the outside of watch, or they do electronic watches most of the time as well. Yeah. Well, here, the most costly will be the parts. The time the labor and the time we spend to test the watch, to work on the watch, to polish, refurb the case, or the external. The most common thing is the parts. If you work on a watch which you can get the parts through the brand directly, then the cost will be reduced. So the service is going to be reduced as well. The service cost. But if you work on a brand that you're not supposed to work on, but you can do it because you know exactly how it works, then you can get the parts but outsource of the brand, then it will cost slightly more because people want to make money on parts. The most expensive stuff, the parts are crystal, all the external prime pushers are really expensive, especially if they are rubber coated. That's extremely expensive. And any gold, obviously, or platinum, that's expensive.
Yeah, it's material cost.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's really, and obviously we have to return all the gold to the brand. Bad oiling everywhere. Like literally, I think someone just dropped a bottle of oil in it. Or like I saw some fry oil as well. I saw a lot of, some people try to fix the air spring on the balance, the regulator, which was destroyed. A lot of people try to, they lose screws and they're replaced by generic screws, which I don't care if they look good and they've been matching the aesthetic of the other one. I don't care, but some of them are just really ugly, and it has to be like or damaging the rotor weight. That's, you can see, I don't know if you want to zoom it, but
I think we'll show the part specifically later on in the video.
Yeah, that's a bad practice.
Mm.
That's what it is. Some people want to rush. Some people don't care and they just want to do a quick job to earn money.
Mm.
And they don't respect the system, the movement. And I think I disagree with that. Because if you're passionate enough and if you want to spend the time correctly, the customer trusts you. You will wait. If you update it not daily, weekly, just say your watch is with the watchmaker now, and it's what we do. We give an estimate after 48 hours. When we start the work, we send an email. We update when it's on test, when it's been tested, when it's complete. If we have a problem on the test and we have to redo or rectify an issue we observe after testing, because we test the watch for a week, then we update again the customer. So it's a lot of little things like this. For us, it's a priority for the good customer service. We have to provide a really good feedback and care, because after I treat every single watch as my babies. So I babysit them, I look after them until they go back to the customers. It's where it's getting tricky, because vintage watches compared to modern watches, they use different material. Vintage watches, because they're old, under 1980s, then a lot of people have been working on. And if people have been working on correctly, then it's fine. You will find some surprise, but it's alright. But if you find someone just been working on a watch, for an example, like a vintage CHRONICLER, caliber 565, automatic with a date, easy, beautiful piece, and then you find like people just been hammering the watch, not shooting the watch, scratch everywhere, plate scratch, bridge scratch, screws not even the right ones, put wrong parts inside, try to make the watch sticky. Then I have to spend like 10 or 15 hours to first find all the parts needs to be replaced. If I can't, then I have to make parts. That's where there's a difference between modern and vintage. Sometimes you can't find the part, so my job is to make the part. Then it starts to be, it's going to cost more for the customer because I'm going to spend more time for it. But I assure that the watch is in good care. Yes, but you got some parts you can't do.
Yeah.
I mean, after you got a certain limit of stuff.
Mm.
I mean, making wheels, it's doable, but you have to have all the equipment for it. Like balance, you spend too much time, you will never find the right things. When brands have, let's say Omegas, I know they keep a certain amount of stock, not a crazy amount, but they got some stock on all pieces until a limit. Like when you go to the WW2, then that's the caliber 30T.
Yeah.
That's, you can't find anything under there.
Mm.
That's the limit. So if I've got one for service in a few days now. It's a lot of parts and stuff. So my mission is gonna be hard, but I'm gonna try to find the right parts through all my friends, watchmakers.
Mm.
We help each other and try to find the right bits, right spare parts for it, try to fix it. That's going to be a challenge. A big chronograph, which its design is going to be thicker, and basically like this one, then basically it's going to be more expensive to make it. If you say like for a modular or planche, it's based on an automatic watch, to say like an ETA 2892. Then brands use some modules, which is basically a chronograph system, 2 plates with the chronograph systems, and the automatic watch is going to go with a pinion and transmit the strength of the watch to the modular, and it's going to just, if you choose to use the chronograph, then you can action and stuff, and it's going to just count the time. But if that's going to cost less, that's why, because they supply the brand called, the company called Dubois des Pras. This really good company, which they make one of the best modules you can find in the market for now. It's what brands like them, because they're cheap, they're good, they're reliable. Rarely you can find any problem with it. Part of the common system, which is breaking all the time. That's the only things I'm just not really. But it's where you will always find that. It's why, like, you see the Speedmaster reduced and the Speedmaster.
Yeah.
It's totally different price. The reduced is way cheaper than the Moon one.
Yeah.
It's only because you compare a module to a big chronograph. It's a big march, because between a module and a big chronograph, the price difference is like over £1,500. Because it's more design, it's more parts involved. If you supply for module, then you get a price from a different company. Then you just have to make the right for you, for your automatic base movement. So it's easy. And lighter.
Yeah.
So you reduce material for the case, the thickness of the case. It's lighter, so less material, so the case costs less. That's it.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
And so that concludes this very different video format, but I hope you enjoyed this video in terms of really seeing into the world of the watchmaker and understanding something a little bit different than my normal commentary, which doesn't really come at watches from that particular perspective. So I hope that was interesting, and do tell me what you thought in the comments down below. But do bear in mind there is a part 2 of this video which will be released in just a few days, and this is a full disassembly of my Omega Speedmaster Mark III with a full commentary. And so in that video you'll be able to see the additional automatic winding and modifications made to the base 861 caliber which you have in a modern style Speedmaster within this watch, which makes it rather an interesting piece to take apart. And of course, with the full commentary of a proper watchmaker, it should be something very interesting and something a bit different, so do keep an eye out for that video in coming days. And so I'll conclude the video there, so thank you very much for watching. This is Arm on the Watch Guy, out.